Let me start with something that is going to sound too good to be true, and then I'm going to prove to you it is real. As we head into August, there are 3 completely separate money situations lining up at the same time, and every single one of them touches the money in your pocket. Not next year, not someday, right now this month. One of them is a raise that is being decided as we speak, and almost nobody understands how it actually works. One of them is a tax break worth thousands of dollars that a huge number of seniors already left sitting on the table this year without realizing it. And the third one can erase a charge that is being pulled out of your Social Security check every single month before you ever see a dime of it. Here's the part that stops me cold every time. Study after study shows that when there is money set aside for older Americans, somewhere close to 1 in 3 people who are fully entitled to it never collect a cent. Not because they were denied, not because they did anything wrong, simply because no one ever sat them down and explained it in words that made sense. So today, that is exactly what I am going to do. I am going to walk you through all 3, one at a time, in plain language. For each one, I will tell you what it actually is, who really qualifies, the exact income and age numbers that matter this year, the one assumption that makes good people count themselves out when they should not, and the precise steps to act on it. I'm also going to stop somewhere in the middle and warn you about a specific kind of theft that circles this exact type of money like a hawk. Because the moment there is a benefit seniors can claim, there's a stranger on the phone trying to steal it out from under them. And I am saving the single most valuable one for the end, so please stay with me the whole way through. If you drift off halfway, you will miss the one that is worth the most money to the most people. Before I begin, let me be straight with you about who I am and who I am not. I do not work for the government. I am not from Social Security. I am not from Medicare, and I am not selling you anything. There is no product at the end of this. I do not earn a single penny whether you act on any of this or not. What I do is read the rules, the boring fine print that most people never touch, and then I tell you in plain words what those rules actually mean for your money. That is the whole arrangement. You do the living, I will do the reading. And one more thing before we get into it. I do not care if you are 62 or 92. I do not care if you are already sure you make too much to qualify for anything. Please watch all 3 of these before you decide any one of them is not for you. Because, in my experience, the people who are most certain they do not qualify are the exact people leaving the most money behind. Now, I can already hear the question forming in some of your minds. If all of this is real, why has nobody ever told me? It is a fair question, and it deserves an honest answer. The answer is almost the same for all 3. These are not programs that come looking for you. There is no office out there whose job it is to study your situation, pick up a phone and say, based on your income and your age, here is money you are owed, let me help you get it. That person simply does not exist. The benefit sits quietly behind a form or a rule with a confusing name, and it waits. It waits for someone to raise their hand and ask. The people who get the money are not smarter or luckier. They are just the ones who found out it was there and took the step. Today, you are finding out. So let me give you the first one, because it is the one everybody is talking about this month, and almost everybody is talking about it wrong. You have probably heard the letters COLA. It stands for Cost of Living Adjustment. In plain English, it is the yearly raise on your Social Security check that is supposed to keep up with rising prices. And right now, in the heart of the summer, there's a number floating around the news. That number is 3.8%. You may have seen it. What almost nobody is explaining is what it truly means, and just as important, what it does not mean yet. Here's the truth. That raise, whatever it ends up being, does not land in August. It does not land this summer at all. The increase in your check does not begin until January. So why am I telling you about it in August? Because August is one of the 3 months that decides the whole thing. The government does not just pick a number out of the air. By law, it looks at inflation across 3 specific months, July, August, and September, and compares them to the same stretch a year before. That means the size of your raise for next year is being locked in right now, across these very weeks. August is not the month you get the money. August is the month the number gets written. As of the middle of July, the most closely watched independent forecast put next year's raise at 3.8%. To give you something to hold on to, this year's raise was only 2.8%, so 3.8% would be a full percentage point higher. On an average retirement check, that works out to somewhere around $74 more a month. It is not a fortune, but for a lot of people on a fixed income, $74 a month is a full tank of gas, or a week of groceries, or the copay that was keeping them up at night. Now here is where I need you to be careful, because this is where people make a costly mistake in their own heads. The mistake is treating that 3.8% like it is guaranteed and already in the bank. It is not. It is a forecast. The real final number does not get announced until October. Once the September inflation figures come in, prices can shift between now and then, and the number can move up or down. So the money move here, and this is the honest one, is do not go out and spend a raise that has not been decided yet. Do not let anyone talk you into a purchase or payment plan based on a number that is still just a prediction. What you can and should do in August is make sure your own record is right. Your raise is calculated on top of the benefit you are already getting. If your benefit amount is wrong, if it was ever miscalculated based on the wrong earnings from your working years, then every raise from here forward is built on a shaky foundation. So this is the season to log into your Social Security account or call and request your statement and simply confirm that the number they are paying you matches the work you actually did. Nobody is going to check that for you. If there is an error sitting in your file, it will quietly cost you a little more every year until somebody catches it. Let that somebody be you. Let me put a face on this so it lands. Picture a woman I will call Ruth. Ruth is 71, and every year she watches the news, hears a raise is coming, and quietly gets her hopes up that this is the year the math finally works in her favor. But Ruth never once checked whether her own benefit was calculated correctly. When a family member finally sat down and pulled her earnings record with her, they found a gap, a couple of years of work that had never been credited to her account. Correcting that record raised her monthly benefit going forward, and every future cost of living adjustment now sits on top of a bigger, correct number. Ruth did not need a new law to help her. She just needed to look. Please remember, Ruth is an illustration, not a real person, but the situation she is in is one I have seen play out again and again. So that is money move number one. Understand the raise, do not spend it before it is real, and use this window to make sure the check it is built on is correct. Now, before I give you the second one, I promised you a warning, and this is exactly the right moment for it, because news about a Social Security raise is like ringing a dinner bell for thieves. Here's how the trick works. The moment there is talk of a cost of living adjustment or a bigger check, the phone calls begin. Someone calls and they sound official, calm, and helpful. They say they are from Social Security. They tell you there's a problem with your account or that they need to confirm your information so your new higher payment can be processed. Then comes the ask. They want your Social Security number or your bank account details or a code they just texted to your phone. The instant that happens, you stop. You hang up. Social Security does not call people out of the blue and demand your number or your bank details to release a raise. The raise is automatic. There's no form you fill out over the phone to unlock it. Anyone rushing you, anyone creating panic, anyone asking for those numbers is not the government. That is a thief wearing the government as a costume. You never give your information to whoever called you. You hang up, and if you are worried, you call the official number yourself from a statement you already have. The rule is simple. You reach out to them. They do not reach out to you demanding secrets. All right, let me give you the second money move, and this one is a real dollars and cents opportunity that a shocking number of seniors already walked right past this year. Last summer, a large tax law was signed, and buried inside it was something built specifically for older Americans. It created a brand new deduction, an extra $6,000 that a person 65 or older can subtract from their taxable income. Read that again, because it is per person. If you are a married couple and you are both 65 or older, that is up to $12,000 the two of you can knock off your taxable income together. This is not a loan. It is not a gimmick. It is a straight reduction in the income the government is allowed to tax. And for a middle-income retiree, it can mean real money staying in your account instead of going to the tax man. Now let me tell you why I'm raising this in August, when tax season feels like it is long behind us. This deduction first became available on the return most people filed earlier this year. And here's the problem. Because it was brand new, a great many seniors filed their taxes without ever knowing it existed. They handed money to the government that they did not have to. If that happened to you, the door is not closed. You are generally allowed to go back and correct a return you already filed, using an amended return, and claim what you missed. That is why now is the time to look, not next April. And on top of that, this deduction is not permanent. Under the current law, it is scheduled to be available only through the year 2028, and then it goes away. So this is a limited window, and every year inside that window that you fail to claim it is money gone for good. Let me tell you exactly who qualifies, because this is where people count themselves out. First, the age rule. You must have turned 65 by the last day of the tax year. Second, and this surprises people, you do not have to be collecting Social Security to get it. You do not have to be retired. You just have to be 65 or older and have income within the limits. Third, the income limits, and this is the part I want you to hear clearly. The full deduction is available if your income is under $75,000 for a single person, or under $150,000 for a married couple filing together. Above those lines, it does not vanish all at once. It shrinks gradually as your income climbs, and only disappears completely at much higher incomes, up around $175,000 for a single filer and $250,000 for a couple. So please do not look at your income and assume you earn too much. A lot of people who think they are over the line are sitting comfortably inside it, or inside the range where they still get a partial deduction. And a partial deduction is still real money. There are two mistakes I need to warn you about, because each one quietly disqualifies people who did not have to be disqualified. The first mistake is a filing status trap. If you are married, you generally have to file jointly to claim this. Couples who file separately are locked out entirely. So if you are married and you file separately out of habit, that habit could be costing you thousands. It is worth asking whether filing together makes more sense. The second mistake is assuming you are too poor to benefit. If your income is very low and you already owe little or no tax, this particular deduction may not put money back in your pocket, because there is not much tax to reduce. That is not a failure on your part. It just means this specific move is aimed at the middle. If it does not fit you, the third one I'm about to give you almost certainly will, so do not go anywhere. Let me make this real. Picture a retired man I will call Frank, 68 years old, living on a modest pension and some savings, with an income that lands squarely in the middle. When Frank filed his taxes this year, neither he nor the software he used flagged this new deduction because it was so new. He simply paid what the form told him to pay. Months later, someone pointed it out. Frank went back, amended his return, and claimed the $6,000 deduction he had been entitled to all along. The refund that came back was not pocket change. It was the kind of money that covers a car repair or a chunk of a heating bill for the whole winter. Frank is an illustration, not a real person, but the situation is one that played out in a great many households this year without anyone ever noticing. So how do you act on this one? You claim it on your tax return using the specific schedule the tax form set aside for it, and the good news is you can take it whether you itemize your deductions or take the standard deduction. It stacks on top of what you already get. If you have not filed yet, or you file later in the year, make sure it goes on. If you already filed and left it off, ask about filing an amended return to go back and get it. And if you use a tax preparer, do not assume they caught it. Ask them directly. Say the words, "I am 65 or older. Did my return include the new senior deduction?" That one question could put thousands of dollars back where it belongs, which is with you. And just like everything else today, claiming it costs you nothing. You never pay a stranger a fee to unlock a tax deduction you were already entitled to. Now we come to the third one, and I told you I was saving the biggest for last. For the right person, this is not a forecast, and it is not a once-a-year tax event. This is money, every single month for as long as you qualify, and it can wipe out a charge that is being taken out of your check right now, quietly, before the money ever reaches your bank. If you are on Medicare, you are almost certainly paying a premium for what is called Part B. That is the part that covers your doctor visits and your outpatient care. And that premium does not come to you as a bill you choose to pay. It is pulled straight out of your Social Security check before you ever see it. This year, that premium is a little over $200 a month. Sit with that for a second. That is more than $2,400 a year, disappearing out of your check month after month, so quietly that most people forget it is even happening. Here is the third money move. There is a set of programs run through your state whose entire purpose is to pay that premium for you, not lower it, pay it, which means those $200 and some dollars stop coming out of your Social Security, and your monthly check goes up by that exact amount. For a lot of seniors, that is the single biggest raise they will get all year, and it has nothing to do with the cost of living adjustment we talked about earlier. It does not come from Congress. It comes from a program that almost nobody applies for, and it can go further than just the premium. There are actually a few versions of this aimed at slightly different income levels. The most generous version, for the lowest incomes, does not stop at the premium. It also wipes out your Medicare deductibles and your share of the costs, the copays, and coinsurance, so those surprise bills after a doctor visit stop landing in your mailbox at all. The other versions, for incomes a little higher, cover the premium itself. Oh, but here's the part that makes this the crown jewel. Signing up for any version of it also unlocks another program automatically, a separate benefit that slashes what you pay for your prescription drugs. So one application can lift the premium off your check and cut your medicine costs at the same time. That is why I saved this one for last. Now, who qualifies? Stay with me here, because this is the exact spot where good people hang up on their own money. This is based mainly on your monthly income, and the limits are higher than most people guess. Depending on which version you fall into, a single person can have a monthly income somewhere in the range of $1,350 up to about $1,800 and still qualify to have that premium paid. For a married couple, the numbers run higher still, up into the $2,400 range and beyond. And a handful of states are even more generous than that, with higher limits or no strict cutoff at all. So before you wave this away and say I make too much, actually go and check, because an enormous number of people who are dead certain they earn too much land right inside that window. And here is the assumption that costs people the most. Many folks look around at what they own and disqualify themselves on the spot. They think, I own my home, I could never qualify for something like this. Listen carefully. In most cases, the home you live in does not count against you. Neither does one car. So do not sit at your kitchen table and rule yourself out based on the house you are sitting in. Let the state office do the math. Your only job is to raise your hand and ask the question. The people who get this money are simply the ones who applied. Let me put a face on this too. Picture a retired couple living on his Social Security and her small survivor benefit, with the man's Part B premium and the woman's Part B premium both being pulled out every month. That is more than $400 a month leaving the household before they buy a single thing. They always assumed those assistance programs were for other people, poorer people, not them. But when someone finally ran their actual numbers, they were under the line. The state took over both premiums. Just like that, their combined monthly income jumped by more than $400, and the co-pays that used to sting after every appointment disappeared, and their prescription costs dropped on top of it. Nothing about their life changed except that somebody finally showed them the door was open. This couple is an illustration, not a real family, but that door is open for a great many households exactly like them. So how do you act on it? You apply through your state's Medicaid office, and here is the easy button. There's a free service in every state, a health insurance counseling program for seniors, and its whole job is to help you with exactly this at no cost. When you call, you do not need to be an expert. You do not need to have every scrap of paperwork memorized or know which version of the program you fit into. You simply say, in plain words, I'm on Medicare, I'm on a fixed income, and I want to know if I qualify to have my Part B premium paid. That one sentence starts the whole thing. They will ask you a little about your income and walk you through the rest. Figuring out which exact program you belong in is their job, not yours. It is free to apply, and you never ever pay a person a fee to sign up for this. And that brings the scam warning back around, because this is precisely the kind of money the thieves love most. The same rule holds. Medicare in your state do not call you out of nowhere and ask for your bank account or your Medicare number in order to hand you a benefit. If a caller is rushing you, telling you your premium refund is waiting, and asking for your numbers to release it, you hang up. You go to the source yourself. You never hand your information to whoever dialed your phone. Now let me tell you why this particular August is the right time to go and check all three of these. Even if you looked once before and got turned down, and even if you gave up on the whole idea years ago. Every one of these numbers moves. The income limits on that premium program are tied to figures that get adjusted for inflation, and they crept up again for this year. The tax deduction is brand new and only recently available, and the cost of living figures are shifting this very month. When those numbers move, the line for who qualifies moves right along with them. Which means a person who was just barely over the edge a year or two ago can be sitting comfortably under the line today, without changing one single thing about their own life. I have watched this happen up close more times than I can count. Somebody gets told, sorry, you are just a little over the limit, and they take that like a permanent sentence and never try again. But that limit is not carved in stone. It drifts a little almost every year. The $50 that shut the door last time may not shut it this time. The only way you will ever know is to check again. It costs you one phone call. It could be worth thousands. So let me add it all up for you, because when you see it stacked together, it lands differently. Money move one, the raise. Understand it, protect it by keeping your record correct, and do not spend a forecast. On an average check, next year's increase is shaping up to be worth somewhere around $74 a month once it begins in January, and making sure your benefit is calculated correctly protects every raise you will ever get after that. Money move two, the Senior Tax Deduction. Up to $6,000 off your taxable income for one person, up to $12,000 for a qualifying couple, available now and only through 2028. For a middle-income retiree, that can mean hundreds or even thousands of dollars staying in your pocket. And if you already filed without it this year, you may be able to go back and claim it. Money Move 3, the premium program. If your state takes over that Part B premium, that is more than $2,400 a year staying in your Social Security check instead of vanishing from it. In the most generous version, your deductibles and copays disappear too, and every version opens the door to cheaper prescriptions. Add those together, and for a lot of you, we are not talking about pocket change. We are talking about the difference between a retirement where every month is a white-knuckled squeeze and one where you can finally breathe. And here is the thing I most want you to hear. The seniors who collect all of this are not sharper than you. They did not earn it more than you. They simply found out it existed, and they took the step. That is the entire difference between them and the 1 in 3 who never claim a dollar. And now you know it exists too. Let me make that concrete with one last picture. Imagine a single retiree on a modest check who happens to fit all three. She keeps a close eye on the raise and makes sure her benefit is calculated on her correct earnings, so every future increase is built on solid ground. She goes back and claims the senior deduction she missed on her taxes and gets a refund that covers a season of bills. And her state picks up her Part B premium, so her monthly check jumps by more than $200 and her medicine gets cheaper. Stack those together and you're looking at thousands of dollars a year flowing to a woman who, 12 months ago, would have told you flat out that there was nothing left out there for someone like her. She is an illustration, but that outcome is real for people who take the steps. Now, before I leave you, I want you to hold on to one simple idea because everything we covered today comes down to it. These opportunities only help the people who know they exist and take the time to ask. The rules can look complicated at first, but once you know where to look and who to call, the process is far easier than most people fear. The real mistake is not misunderstanding the fine print. The real mistake is deciding the answer is no before you have even asked the question. So here's exactly what to do, and I will keep it simple. For the raise, log into or request your Social Security statement this month and confirm the benefit they are paying you is correct. And wait for the official number in October before you count on anything. For the Senior Tax Deduction, look at whether it was claimed on your return this year, ask your preparer directly if you use one, and find out whether you can amend to get it if it was missed. And for the premium program, contact your state's Medicaid office or your free state health insurance counseling service and say the one sentence, I am on Medicare, I'm on a fixed income, and I want to know if I qualify to have my Part B premium paid. Every one of these is free to look into, and asking a question never costs you a thing. And remember what I told you about the phone? No real government agency is going to call you out of the blue and demand your bank account, your Medicare number, or your Social Security number to release a benefit. If someone does, if they rush you or frighten you or ask for your secrets, you end the call. You always reach out to the real office yourself, using a number you already trust. Because when you strip everything else away, here is the reality. Nobody is going to knock on your door and tell you that you are owed extra help. These programs exist, but they are built for the people who take the step and ask. If you never raise your hand, the whole system just keeps moving, and those dollars stay right where they are, unclaimed, forever. The one person with the greatest power to protect your income in retirement is the person looking back at you from the mirror. If anything I shared today was useful to you, please pass it along to someone you care about who is 65 or older, especially someone on a fixed income who has quietly decided there's nothing left out there that could help them. There is a very good chance they qualify for money they have never even heard of, and one short message from you might be the thing that finally opens the door.